Former Bond star Daniel Craig and Oppenheimer Oscar winner Cillian Murphy are set to star in La La Land's director's Damien Chazelle's next film. Indeed, this is going to be a powerhouse come the year of release. And also moving on from Hollywood to Nollywood, BRS Studio set in Nigeria has unveiled its 2025 slate of films, and indeed, you need to stay tuned to check out the roster of powerhouse talents behind this slate right here on the Film Mandate. I am Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Film Mandate, where we bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions both from the African front and the international scene. I'm Papa Otu, and welcome to thank you actually for joining me for this very episode, episode 44, and diving right in straight from the Nollywood film industry in Nigeria. We have some exciting news indeed, some exciting news. And for the year 2025 is set indeed to be an exciting year from Cannes, where you have six African films representing to an upscale production in Nigeria. BRS Studios has unveiled a slate for 2025, and this is published in an article on a website titled "What Kept Me Up." What kept me up, and I read. This a new chapter for Nollywood. BRS Studio unveils 2025 film slate. Let me take it again. A new chapter for Nollywood. BRS Studios unveils. This is by WKM Up. Yeah, that is the who. What's kept me up. And in your short, it's some powerhouse talents in the picture on the screen. So moving on, from following the global success of Tokumbo on Netflix, which landed in the top 10 across more than 50 countries and amassed over 5 million views within its first 3 days, BRS Studios continues in its mission to redefine African storytelling. The studio has announced three new titles on its slate: Stitches, Iwa, Aqua, and Dambe. Each film tells a different kind of story. Sorry, each film tells a different kind of African story, grounded in culture and character, and brought to life by some of the most respected African directors working today. BRS Studios was established in 2024 by Blue Pictures, Ramsey Films, and Sozo Films. Behind the partnership are Joy Efe Odiete, a leading distributor and exhibitor, Ramsey Noah, acclaimed actor and director, and Chris Ode, a prolific producer who together bring decades of experience across distribution, filmmaking, and production. Their shared goal is to tell African stories with clarity, authenticity, and reach. The 2025 slate, in partnership with MBO Capital, is a strategic move that supports the studio's vision for scale, innovation, and impact. The collaboration strengthens BRS Studios' ability to produce and distribute high quality African films for both local and international audiences. The slate kicks off with Stitches, directed by acclaimed Shirley Frimpong-Manso, set in Lagos. The film follows a gifted fashion designer from a working class background whose rise into elite social circles is complicated by love and pressure from her past. It is a story about ambition, identity, and the personal cost of crossing social lines. Iwa Aqua, directed by Nollywood veteran Ernest Obi, is a comedy drama rooted in Igbo tradition. When a crown prince dies suddenly, a quiet university professor is called back to his hometown to take on a royal role he never expected. The film explores family, duty, and pool of heritage with humor and heart. Dambe, directed by Ramsey Noah, is a historical epic set in 11th century Kano. It follows a young fighter coming of age through the ancient Hausa martial art of Dambe boxing. At its core, it is a story about legacy, strength, and finding purpose in tradition. Speaking on the studio's direction and upcoming projects, prolific producer and co-producer Chris Ode reflects BRS Studios was born out of a need to elevate African storytelling. These films are not just projects, they are a statement to the world that African cinema is limitless in scale, impact, and influence. Creative director and co founder, acclaimed actor Ramsey Noah adds, storytelling is our legacy. With this slate, we are not just making movies, we are capturing the essence of Africa in its truest form, whole, bold, vibrant, and deeply rooted in culture. In addition, Joy Odiete, director of partnerships, distribution, and co-founder, emphasizes through strategic partnerships and innovative filmmaking, BRS Studios is setting a new benchmark for Nollywood. We are telling African stories at a global standard, and the world is watching. With a lineup of films that promise depth, authenticity, and global appeal, BRS Studios is leading the charge in Nollywood's next cinematic evolution. These stories are not only redefining genres, they are redefining the continent's creative legacy. The future of African storytelling is here. Yeah, so this indeed is an exciting time for Nollywood and the African film industry. For Nollywood and the African film industry. And indeed, I am excited to hear this news. And I saw this news item and I was indeed excited looking at the fact that this indeed is what we are looking for in Africa, collaborations among companies and studios to upscale the productions of, producing Africa to a level that is appreciable on the world stage. And indeed, it is something, something to applaud looking at the fact that these three people on screen brought in not just themselves, but their companies together to form the BRS studio. And I'm indeed excited because that is what we should be gaining for, looking at collaborating, networking, and collaborating to work together to make things happen. And looking at what they are bringing on board, they are not just bringing on board studios and their companies to form studios, but just as the article said, they are bringing together decades of experience. We know Ramsey Noah to be an actor, but he is also a two-time AMVCA, winner, and it is exciting that he's bringing not just his wealth of experience as an actor, but having transitioned into a director, he's bringing these two worlds of experiences, which is very dependent on each other to bear. And I'm really excited looking at the fact that he's not just someone who has had experience in the film industry in front of the camera, but also experience behind the camera. And then we also have our lady here. Let me pardon me, I don't have her name offered, but these are people bringing together experiences that are vast in nature. So we have what's it called, Blue Pictures, Ramsey Films, and Sozo Films. And then for the lady brings together vast Jai's Joy Odiete of Blue Pictures is bringing to her to bear vast experience in the area of distribution and exhibition. And it is indeed exciting, meaning that whilst these films are being shot, there is already plans underway as to where it's going to be distributed, in which territories is going to be distributed, and also exhibition perhaps on the continent and beyond. So I am indeed excited that this is the new level of production that we are looking at. Yes, it's beginning from Nigeria, but it is even indeed exciting looking at the fact that they've roped in our own 20-time nominee of the AMVCA award, the powerhouse Shelley Frimpong-Manso of Spiral Studios. So you could indeed see that they are thinking bigger than just Nollywood. They are thinking Africa, and I'm excited for that because I've always advocated for the fact that it is important to look at a continental film industry rather than a country film industry. Yes, the individual country's film industry is necessary. That is the foundation that becomes the basis and foundation on which we can build the African film industry on. But it can't just stop there. Our markets are too fragmented to be able to make such sums of money to be able to compete with film industries from the world over. Yes, we might be producing I mean immense number of films from Nollywood, but the question we've always asked ourselves is that does it translate into the necessary money needed to sustain the arts and crafts? That's never been the case. Nigeria on its own can sustain itself. I mean, no two ways about that. If the structures are in place, if the infrastructure are in place, and there is the necessary data to support and always revise plans for the next coming films. But for us to make a bigger and greater impact, the entire continent ought to be involved. And I like the fact that Nigeria Ghanaian collaborations has always been in existence in some form or the other. In the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken, there was the influx of Niger Ghana collaboration on the film front, and even in recent years, there was a similar thing where Lil Wayne brought in Ramsey Noah to star in his film called A Country Called Ghana. So I'm excited that even though BRS Studios is established in Nollywood to uplift and upscale the productions in Nollywood, they are also looking at Africa as a whole. Africa as a whole, and I'm indeed excited. I'm excited. I'm praying that they whatever plan they have in place would manifest itself and be very successful so that they can also have the impetus and the motivation and encouragement to keep on going. So these are some of the things we should be looking out for. We should be looking out for. And I saw on Shelley Frimpong-Manso's film, that is a official Instagram page, this news, and it was indeed exciting. So in your picture is the same image that can be seen on the What Kept Me Up website, and she posted this with regards to the news of what it's in the offing. So it is indeed exciting. And moving on from there, you have we have Sheriff and Manso herself. And listen, need I say, I know maybe it may be debatable, but regardless, I think it cannot be argued the fact it cannot be argued that Sheriff and Manso is one of the most, if not the most prolific filmmaker in Ghana, among the top three, because she has been consistently producing films, directing and writing, directing and producing films throughout the decades. If I'm not mistaken, 2 decades, and she has been consistent, not just on the silver screen with films, but she also has been doing some TV series for the longest time possible that I can think of. So indeed, it is exciting that in considering expanding the roster of directors, it doesn't mean Nigerians don't have. They do have a lot of directors in Nollywood. But in order to reach other markets, I'm excited about the fact that they brought in the talented Shelley Frimpong-Manso to come aboard to direct a production, and she is directing the film Stitches. So I'm excited that they brought in Shelley Frimpong-Manso, and congratulations to her on this project. Also, moving on, you have Ernest Obi, and he is one of the most prolific actors in Nigeria, in Nigerian films, and he is also a director bringing on screen Iwa Aqua. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. My Nigerian family, please pardon me if I am not, but Iwa Aqua is what he is directing. And moving on to the talented and the multifaceted Ramsey Noah, he is also directing the film Dambe, set in 11th century, uh, I think, province or land in Hausa in Nigeria. I'm not so sure, but yeah, so that is what he is directing. And it is indeed exciting to have these talents, you know, coming together for a bigger vision than we are used to. Most often, films that are produced in on the mainland continent of Africa are good enough, but they are not grand in scale. Not necessarily the scale of the productions, but the production value. Our production value is good enough, but is it high enough to compete on the world stage? And I'm glad that BRS Studio is helping it even upscale it even more. So my hope is that these productions would excel in production value, so that wherever it goes, whether in terms of film festivals, just as other films have done in Cannes and Red Sea and other places, this would stand the test of time and will rub shoulders with the best from the West. So I'm indeed excited about this very news, looking at the fact that Africa is seeing some form of renaissance in the film industry, and we are supporting it with all that we can, to make sure that it goes well for this particular talent that we find on the continent today. So, congratulations to Ramsey Noah, who himself is a creative director of the BRS studio, and also Ernest Obi and Shelley Manso for this particular gig they're about to embark on. So, congratulations to BRS Studios for also seeing the vision and looking at upscaling productions in Africa. So, this is indeed exciting, and we'll be looking forward to the coming years, or the perhaps if it's this year when it is released, and we hope the very best for them. We hope the very best for them. So yeah, moving on from Nollywood, we move straight to Hollywood, where Damien Chazelle, for those who have been watching his films, is one of the most ambitious film directors I have ever seen, from La La Land and even way back Whiplash. Whiplash was a short film, and then he developed it into a feature film, and that film is it's beautiful. It is compelling. It is very it, it keeps you on the edge of your seat, and that is how powerful Whiplash is. And that film starred my Miles Teller and why am I blanking out on his name? But the star of Jonah James or in Spider Man, I'm sorry, I'm just blanking out on his name, but he won the what's it called? He won the best supporting actor for that particular year. He won the best supporting actor for that particular year. Let me see if I can bring up his name, because I'm just blanking out on his name. But yeah, so um, it is indeed exciting for Damien Chazelle to be coming back with another film. Yeah, coming up with another film, and yeah, so I'm excited to be looking forward to. Yeah, J.K. Simons. Yeah, sorry, J.K. Simons or Simmons. Yeah, he won for that film, and now he's coming up with his next film, and on board is Daniel Craig, that is the former star of James Bond, and Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, the Oppenheimer for the film Oppenheimer, who won the best actor for that year, the best actor for that year. So they are set to star in Damien Chazelle's next film, written by Rebecca Rubin in the Variety on the Variety website. So I read. Cillian Murphy and Daniel Craig are in negotiations to star in Damien Chazelle's next film. Chazelle, the Oscar-winning La La Land filmmaker, will write and direct the untitled project for Paramount Pictures. He's also producing with Olivia Hamilton through their company Wild Chickens Productions. Though plot details haven't been revealed, the film is expected to be a prison-set drama, according to Deadline, which first reported the news. If Murphy and Craig's deals close, production is aiming to start later this year. The film reunites Chazelle with Paramount, which funded the director's prior theatrical swing, 2022's Babylon. The drug-fueled ode to showbiz, starring Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, became an epic box office disaster with $63 million worldwide against its $80 million budget. Chazelle's other film credits include Whiplash and First Man. Chazelle set a first-look deal with Paramount in 2022. The studio announced in 2024 that Chazelle was working on a new movie, reportedly a biopic about stunt performer Yvel Neville. I hope I pronounced it right, led by Leonardo DiCaprio. But the filmmaker pivoted his attention after DiCaprio dropped out. Instead, Chazelle will have to settle for working with other A-list talents. Craig, who recently retired as James Bond, will appear next in Ryan Johnson's third Knives Out mystery titled Wake Up Dead Man and Greta Gerwig's Narnia adaptation. Meanwhile, Murphy recently won an Oscar for playing the theoretical physicist who developed the atomic bomb in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Yeah, so it is indeed a powerhouse team up between these talented actors and director. And yeah, I've always loved Damien Chazelle's films. You know, even Babylon, I've always liked it because that director, I mean, Chazelle is such a powerful director. Every frame of his film is very compelling, looking at the depths of layers as to what he brings on board. And I feel like Babylon, even though it wasn't well received by critics and even audience alike, was a very ambitious and powerful film that he directed. It may not have augured well for reasons I may not clearly be able to put all out here, and um, maybe at a time could be as a result of also the pandemic, but that film, granted, it's a powerful film, and it's unfortunate it didn't really, make the impact that he was hoping it will. But it starts some big names, that is Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie. And moving on to this very film, I don't know what the film is really about, but apart from the fact that it is a drama, is a prison drama set piece. But to bring these talents on board, who are powerhouses, I believe it is indeed, perhaps it's a story that is compelling enough for them to be convinced to negotiate to come on board. So I honestly think that his next film is going to, be that good enough to want these people to come on board. And I don't know, he may not have been, or he may not be the star to the director to always say people would flock in to watch their films. But for what I've seen so far, regardless of the the non-performance of Babylon, I'm already sold, to watch any films of his at all, any films of his. La La Land was exceptional, winning, um, which became an Academy, loved film. And I must say, I love La La Land, and you never get tired of watching multiple times of that particular film. And it being a musical, it's indeed exciting. Bringing together Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, and their pairing was exceptional. So I indeed admire Paramount still lending their support to Damien Chazelle, and they should never ever give up on him. I think this guy has a great future in filmmaking in Hollywood, and with the right stories and vehicle, there's no skies, there's no limit to what he's capable of doing. So I'm indeed excited for Damien Chazelle for still pursuing his passion of filmmaking. And for those who do not know, he came from a music background. So for whatever film he does, he brings that element of music to bear on the film he makes. When you when you take a look at Whiplash, it's a music. It's not a musical, but it's a film about uh, an individual who wants to be the best drummer ever. So also based on music of a sort. And moving on to La La Land. La La Land is clearly musical. And then if you have ever watched Babylon, Babylon has the elements of music running throughout the entire film. You know the way he's able to bring the score to bear on the Babylon film as and that directing how the editing should go is indeed exciting. When watching it, you never get tired because there's always some elements, there's something to see, there's something that it's layered in a way where you get to discover something new on screen every time you watch it. So indeed, um i won't I won't be far off if I'm to say that perhaps this new film that he's working on will be infused with such energy again, by the power of music and the sound score that they'll be creating for this particular film. So yeah, it is indeed exciting. And congratulations to him for nabbing this deal, and I hope he's able to get Cillian Murphy and Daniel Craig to actually star on this very production. And come the year of release, I'm sure it will indeed create some Oscar buzz if everything goes well as expected. So yeah, this sums up my stories the for this very episode 44. And all too soon we have come to an end. So I would like you to leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll be coming your way once again with another episode of the Film Monday tomorrow. My name is Papa Otu, and I'll see you soon.